Corki, Diana, and Italy banned away a lot of those farming junglers, but Zeri left open and available.
Of course it's going to be first pick. Come on. You leave
No
that
surprise
open.
there.
I've been really liking the responses into Zeri, though. But the question is, can you carry as hard? I also like to see RA banning out Forge as a Kali. He's had some pretty pop-off performances here recently. And that you were talking about Strive. Forge on the other side is going to be a pretty tough opponent, right? He's been having solid performances and is a pretty stable piece for AL to work around. And here it is. Maybe we'll get the first pick. Yep, they know what they need to get. All right, they've been
the happy side.
honing it in. The happy side is here for anyone's legend, as QiuQiu will pick up the Nautilus.
And I think, honestly, Nautilus is a great pick into the Zeri specifically because she's so mobile. Skill shots could be a bit tricky to connect with, but your ultimate, there's no dodging that. And wow, what a surprise, Mazel. Betty on the Jinx. I am shocked.
Wow, no way. I'm getting recollections to the 50-foot Betty again. I don't know if you watched the series that night, but yeah, Betty on Jinx, very terrifying. And honestly, now it's up to RA to find the responses that you really need, right? And like lockdown, especially to make sure the target selection under Betty is there. Their choice is the Ryze, and I actually like that for Strive and for the mobility on the team.
Yeah, I think the roaming potential really strong. A lot of early pressure you can apply, and if you lean down towards bot, you can do a lot. I feel like here you either take in your support if you really focus on that matchup. Leona would be solid, or a jungler. I think Jarvan could actually be okay here with obviously the lack of ability on the Jinx, but it looks like they might be leaning a bit more towards that Viego. So definitely something that works well with the Ryze. Ryze is lockdown. You try and burst out a single target, get the reset for the Viego, and then hopefully give yourself the momentum in that fight. On the other side, Xiaohao's going to pick up the Lee Sin, so a fair bit of early pressure. Now, I expect anyone's legend probably to be looking at support bans in this situation, right? They're going to have first choice on top laners here. For the side of Rare Adam, I think, you know, maybe there's some things like the Gwen you're concerned about, but also any mid lane picks. You don't want Forge playing into the Ryze. Maybe the Victor is something you could get rid of.
And I really, they're going to go with the Yugi. So a little bit of enchanter bans away from anyone's legend. I'm still obviously looking for a little bit more frontline beefiness for RA, I feel like, especially the mobility that they have, a little bit of the lockdown that they have, it would fit beautifully with it. But obviously choice is starting to whittle down a little bit, and I wonder if anyone's legend is going to pinch that champ pool anymore, if they just stick to the enchanters potentially, as Renekton banned away by RA.
I really would like the Leona ban here from anyone's legend. It's a good matchup in a Nautilus, and I think the main thing Rare Adam is missing right now is engage, right? Anyone's legend already has a Jinx, so their composition is just flat out going to be quite long ranged, right? And if you're not able to get on top of her, you could be having a rough time. So for me, Leona makes a lot of sense in this situation, but they're actually going to go for the Jace. That sets up for a Gwen ban, right? Jace, one of the matchups that actually can punish the Gwen quite heavily. It feels a little bit telegraphed here from anyone's legend as a fourth pick Gwen. And I think Rare Adam probably just have to ban that away in this situation, but we'll see if they feel similarly, if they want to go in a different direction.
And Leona would be a first stage pickup for this year, at least for Yanja on Rare Adam. So obviously probably plays the champion. That means nothing at all.
I don't think you can be an LPL support and not play Leona.
That's what I was going to lead into. I think that's like part of the LPL carding process. If you cannot play Leona, you're out. But the fact of the matter is you still do have these solo lanes to be picked up for anyone's legend, and to match a little bit of that mobility. I would have liked to see the Twisted Fate, but they actually go with the Orianna, which we have been seeing rise a little bit in priority and competitive.
He can trade well into the Ryze, can contest priority, has the shielding for the Jinx, but also it's a short range composition so far from Rare Adam. Makes it very difficult to play around the shockwave, right? You can't just stand at a max distance and fire away damage, because you're going to have to come in close to be able to lay down yours. Now, Leona is going to be the option, I hope, coming out for Rare Adam, but we'll see what they want to take in the top side here. They are just going to go for the Graves. Pretty safe blind in most situations in this meta. Can just farm up, especially with the Jace off the cards. And then that Leona is going to come in, so they have their form of engage the team. But again, this is a short range composition for Rare Adam. We'll see what anyone's legend want to round out with. I think they have a pretty free choice, right? They've got a strong backline already. They've got engage tools. I think they really just want to pick something that gives ZDZ a solid matchup and allows them to farm up.
So one thing for anyone's legend that we've been kind of tracking over these last weeks or so, obviously coming off the break, is the fact that they do typically, or tend to at least, draft 1-3-1 comps or split lane comps, but then they play a more team fight oriented style in the game. But here, I thought maybe we're just gonna get the full committal to team fight, right? They've got the Orianna, they're gonna go for the picks with Xiaohao and the lockdown, this target selection. They draft the Camille to add a little bit of spice there. They still get the lockdown, but they have the potential for ZDZ to run the side lanes as well.
Yeah, I will say that, you know, compared to the Jax, at least the Camille offers more in team fights, right? Her ult alone makes her a pretty difficult one to deal with. And I do think that having Graves and Ryze means that I don't think RA are that concerned about the side lane threat, right? As long as one of them can answer the Camille, you can obviously hold up well on a 1-3-1, and Graves, he can just delete waves pretty comfortably. So I think they should be okay there. But again, if they snowball this Camille, it can completely change the shape of the game. But for me, Rare Adam, right, we talked about Leyan being a big player that they like to play towards. They have that priority. Well, they have that Ryze pick that's going to be looking to find priority once he gets a few levels and some mana items behind him, and then he can use his ult to move with the Viego and look to try and snowball this game. On the other side though, Xiaohao on the Lee Sin, definitely a pick with a lot of early agency.
Absolutely, that jungle matchup going to be pivotal to the early parts of this game, but I like that you foreshadowed some of the duo matchups we'll get to check out as we are loading on to the Rift. You see the logos come across your screen, and that means it's ready for fight night. It's the last night of week number 4. It's the final super weekend night of week number 4, and we are here with Rare Adam taking on anyone's legend.
Big one for both teams. Wins at this point critical when you're staring down a lot of previous series losses, so no doubt both teams coming out swinging. And I think honestly, coming out of draft, both teams can be relatively happy with what they got, right? I think RA ran things out well by picking up the Leona. Betty is on Ryze. That's enough for anyone's legend to be happy. Well, okay, that, and they have Jojo and Engage support, right? Those are the tick 2 boxes. Everything else is kind of just background noise, right? As long as you have that, I think the win con is there.
So I do want to talk about those win cons a little bit, because we foreshadowed the very beginning of the day, right? Talking a little bit about Leyan versus Xiaohao. Both some rising junglers in LPL itself. Leyan with a little bit more track record than Xiaohao. But it is in essence these aggressive junglers who are going to dictate the early pace of the game. And if we get any of that invasion, if we get any of that cheekiness here between these two, that's what I'm definitely looking for. But when we press into that mid game, it's about how they link up with the rest of the team. Xiaohao with QiuQiu. How do they get something going with themselves? QiuQiu being the main engager. And on the other side, you mentioned it already, Leyan with Strive. How do they make this mid jungle duo compete?
I think the big thing is that as much as, you know, early skirmishes could be okay for RA, post level 6 is where they really come online with regards to the Ryze Viego. Viego having his ultimate means he can reset really easily. Yeah, a lot of trading bot lane.
iBoy playing real aggressive, gets the ignite burned on him from QiuQiu as he was popping some shots into Betty, not doing too much damage. Those fishbone rockets do a little bit more.
Next to the minions.
It's just hurting a little bit.
I mean, this is one of the things you have to be a little bit cautious against the Jinx, because the range advantage is going to favor Betty, but they do have the prio now. You see Strive able to move and get some vision down to track Xiaohao. And again, the Lee Sin is going to outmatch the Viego before level 6. But I think the big thing is after that point, right? In those skirmishes, you get a reset, you get another use of your ultimate. It also means if you end up possessing a champion, you can burn all their abilities and then ult out like pretty much instantly to get value. But that's the point I'm really looking for RA to spike, and I think that mid game is really vital for them. Zeri obviously scales fantastically, but the thing is, I think anyone's legend has a lot of good tools in the later stages to deal with them, right? So that's my only concern, is if you go late, you're up against the Jinx, you're up against Orianna, you have point and click lockdown. Speaking of lockdown, a lot of fighting in this bot lane still.
QiuQiu just really wants to fight, man. He's like going in at every chance. Xiaohao, speaking of fighting, he's caught Cube. Cube's gonna need to be a little bit careful. Has the flash, but he's not gonna even burn it because he knows he's dead. AL, pick up first blood.
Yeah, really good AD gank, and on a Camille as well. Definitely gonna appreciate that one. You obviously, if you get that Camille ahead, it can make a massive difference in this matchup, especially up against the Graves, who is, you know, a champion offers pretty much just damage. Put him behind and you will pay the benefits. And it's good to see Xiaohao, right, making some things happen. I think some of his games have been a little bit slower at times in the league, which has been a bit of a negative, but a great gank angle, right? The ward hop over the wall, circumvents the ward. Cube really overextended, and with his jungle on the other side, this is just a very dangerous position to get in. You know that Cube wanted to crash the wave before this could happen, but unfortunately was not able to do so.
Yeah, just a bit of mistiming there, trying to get a little bit more than bit off a little bit more than he gets you, I guess. But right back to it is the Graves, right? Got to keep that confidence up with the low range, very high damage Graves in top lane for Cube. But now that makes me want to look back towards this jungle path, and because Xiaohao has already stricken first blood, and we said we wanted both these junglers to be very aggressive. That's where we see the best play coming out from them, and I'm looking for Leyan's response at this point.
Yeah, I think he's honestly just happy just farming up at the moment. Him pathing towards bot side is kind of twofold. One, it sets up potential angles if they do want to look for an invade into the enemy jungle, but also it covers his bot lane. You think about how aggressive iBoy and Yuandra have been in the laning phase. They wouldn't be able to do that if they didn't have their jungler on side.
You said he was fine farming, but Leyan has other ideas. All right, Aux, you know, in the LPL, we don't like farming. We like killing people. And they're going to bring Strive up here as well. ZDZ with a beautiful hook shot. Flash from Leyan. Are they going to be able to get him? The slow is enough? No way. The 3-man dive at top lane goes awry. And RA come away with nothing except for a few summoner spells burned.
Yeah, hard to punish ZDZ, right? Won the Camille. And I think the critical thing is it's pre-6. You don't have the execute damage from Leyan. You don't have the Realm Warp from Strive to chase down the Camille. They just don't have as many tools to pull that off, and ZDZ makes a great call to disengage. We will see a trade-off here. Xiaohao's going to take the Raptors, but Leyan will just be happy to trade that off on the other side.
Done from anyone's legend, kind of taking some of that early pressure. That's only the first strike from RA, as bot lane looked pretty good for iBoy so far, keeping Betty pressed up into the tower and having a decent CS difference.
Yeah, should be able to make up a fair bit of that with this wave, but it's just been a lot of Yuandra and iBoy applying the pressure in this laning phase, and it's kind of expected because, you know, the Jinx is looking to scale up. Oh, nice.
Oh, here we go. That's how you turn this around, right? You just go on to iBoy and you kill him, right? Oh my God, they don't get him. But Yuandra in some trouble himself. They do have the lockdown, but the flash comes out. The stun, the dredge line, there you go. But the tankiness from Yuandra. Is that another fight where we will not get blood drawn? But Strive, he's got the shockwave used on him, and there you go. There's blood for the blood god. Xiaohao takes his second kill.
Good to see from Xiaohao, and again, they're looking for the 2v2 mid before you have the 6 available to the end.
Lost Aux, perhaps, but we're still in it. Here is Yuandra.
Can you hear me now?
Stay safe under his tower here, just a little bit at least.
Can you hear me now? I don't know if you can hear me or not.
And we'll get a little replay of that real quick. Xiaohao, they thought they caught it. They thought they had it, but they didn't. And Strive unfortunately pays the price there. But as we are going to continue to see AL doing some work early part. And
can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Hello?
But I don't know if
I don't know if I'm coming through.
I'm gonna keep solo cast until we get to go ahead. But
I have no idea.
AL needed this early advantage. At least we set it up for Xiaohao on the Lee Sin, trying to get that going, and it's been working out so far for him, but I'm still waiting for the answer from RA. I'm still looking where they can find their own advantage. Betty down on the bot side against iBoy, still being pressured down there. But it's been interesting because iBoy so far has had the pressure, but as soon as AL want to turn it around, they are able to. And unfortunately, hasn't ended up in a kill on iBoy just yet, but we'll see how that turns out. I guess Jojo still playing pretty aggressive up there. We want to look at this dragon potential here. We see that Leyan is heading down towards the bot side of the map. Maybe we will get the dragon focus here. But LPL, we don't like dragons. All right, we don't want we want kills. We want blood. Dragons can come later when you know you're gonna win. Xiaohao,
okay,
revisiting the top side of the map.
Can you hear me now?
I do hear you, mister.
Okay, apparently I'm still coming through, so I don't know what's going on.
Perfect.
I don't know what's going
close.
on, but look, I'm back. It's here,
Welcome
working
back.
real good. Thank you, thank you. And we're seeing RA find some pressure in the spotlight. This is being a consistent theme, right? This 2v2 very threatening, and QiuQiu found that beautiful angle before that didn't lead to a kill, but they still have to be really concerned about the power off that.
Oh, he got it. All right, Leyan got the Rift Herald. Love that. But the Hextech may have used on a cute, and he's got 2 members of AL right here with them. Oh, the collateral damage not enough to get ZDZ, but Cube gets out with his life.
Yeah, I think ultimately a lot of range to cover for Xiaohao to get there if he wants to be able to try and burst out Cube. Cube flashing away, and obviously the Hextech ultimatum not lasting long enough. But at the end of the day, Leyan gets the Herald. He's pretty happy with that. Looks like they could just throw it down mid, but instead they're actually going for a roam bot lane. And if I am Betty and QiuQiu, I am pretty scared right now. But it looks like for the time being, they'll just clear out some vision in the river, establish control of the Dragon area. And honestly, this could be the first Drake of the game being picked up here.
We'll finally get our first dragon at 10 minutes in the game, as his late dragons taking at least has been the name of the game so far in LPL, it feels. But it's still something for RA to hold on to. It's something that they are able to grab onto into this game, because AL have come up big with the first parts of the series, or at least parts of the game so far, in terms of responding and shot calling. But it's still RA neck and neck in gold and finding their own advantage.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, as well, as we've hit that point I was talking about when Leyan has access to his ultimate, Ryze has access to his ultimate. It's at this point where I feel like the skirmishing can really pay off. You have the threat of the Ryze constantly moving to the side lanes, which make things a little bit tricky. Now, we do see actually the whole breaker on the Graves, which I am not... I have seen this before. I think it's okay. I'm not really a fan of it in this matchup, though, because Camille does a lot of true damage, right? And it gives you resistances, so not really... Probably the best option
Lightning
there.
Crash goes in. Depth Charge was utilized, though, as Leyan really wants to get Betty. QiuQiu does not get connected onto by the Solar Flare, and yet another attempt by RA goes wide.
Yeah, and AL able to get out, but this tower is pretty low. I don't think they can stick around for this one with the Herald coming in.
They got some help on the way, but it's not going to be here for a while. But they catch Leyan! No! Leyan gets out. No, QiuQiu kills him. iBoy's going to die to the excited Betty. And there you go. Everything coming up aces for anyone's legend as the dredge line connects as well. Forge gets his own kill, and it's everyone's having a party for anyone's legend.
Absolute disaster for Rare Adam, and AL just stay up, right? They feel confident. Betty on the Jinx, and we're gonna get a bit more action here.
Oh my god, the wombo combo!
The ult.
This is tragedy, Aux. Tragedy unfolding like a play at a wonderful theater. Everyone has had their say here for anyone's legend, and everything is going their way.
Winning across the board, right? They managed to stop the tower take despite the Herald getting the plates, and it's just Leyan overstepping, disrespecting the Jinx, disrespecting Betty. The resets come in.
Now, coming out from AL, they are literally fighting anytime, anywhere. They are everywhere. The flash shockwave, yet another body is going to be stacked up by anyone's legend. Leyan wants to turn it around, though. Forge has no mana, but it doesn't matter.
No.
He's got the support of his teammates, and friendships make dreams work. Xiaohao, 4 kills on the board.
The confidence coming in from Forge and the team there to back it up. We're going to replay. And Leyan, this is just disrespectful, right? You're walking up on the tower, you're taking damage from the Jinx, and then QiuQiu again with a beautiful connection on that dredge line. The tower aggro as well with the Herald dying, and then iBoy gets caught up by the resets. Honestly, QiuQiu, I mean, this is the happy side, right? This is what we want to see. You want to see QiuQiu on these
real
picks,
happy
and he's
side.
absolutely delivering.
They
and
are
then here,
blending.
I think this is the Hextech ultimatum that stops as he flashes, but the R's already been pressed by Camille, not able to teleport out. But yeah, really lovely execution from AL. They're now 2,000 gold up, 8 kills to 0. And I said, Leyan and Strive, they're level 6 spike. They can lean into side lanes, but disrespectful play means they are really far behind right now. It's going to be a difficult one to come back into. I feel like any game where you're behind against a Jinx, it's kind of feels bad.
And it is an extra feels bad because it wasn't like RA were not trying things, right? Like it was multiple attempted ganks from Leyan that just were barely missing the mark, and they couldn't find them. And then it was completely turned around every time by AL. So that's what feels even worse. It's like they were so close to actually making things work out in the early game for them. But that's the double-edged sword of trying to put your eggs in the early game skirmishing basket. And AL apparently are just the farmers here.
Yeah, and I mean, they can be really happy with the situation they're in. I think the critical thing is this next Herald's going to be coming up fairly soon. Dragon's going to be coming up. I want to see AL. They have the gold lead. They should start to look picking up these neutral objectives and trying to crack down those towers. The second Herald's particularly useful to do so. If they could take that mid-tier 1, allows them to sort of apply pressure in the side lanes. But still, you have to be a little bit concerned. This is how RA should play, is for the numbers advantage. You have the Ryze still. You have the Realm Warp. He has the Everfrost in pocket as well. You need to basically find a scenario where it's 4 against 2, 3 against 2, kill someone quickly, and then get out before AL brings reinforcements. Because right now, if you go up against that Lee Sin, it's going to be pretty scary.
What I'm seeing right now is RA say, all right, we are down. We are out of luck. It is 0-8. Let's get iBoy going. Let's get iBoy some kills. Leyan, stay down here until something happens. Until now Q getting baited out in the transition, as he is caught by Forge, and Xiaohao puts some damage onto Forge, but Xiaohao picks up his 5th kill of the game, and the item discrepancy is starting to show.
And Xiaohao's just doing a great job, right? I feel like there's been some series where he's been a little bit inactive compared to this, and I was seeing the Lee Sin. I was like, you need to have a proactive game in this one, and he has. He's just been delivering, constantly finding these pick windows. They won't go for the dragon, but they will pick up the Herald. It does mean that RA has to in pocket, but again, that's not too meaningful unless they can sort of round that out into a soul. So for now, we can see AL being happy. ZDZ has some low time on that top lane tower, chunking that down. And on top of that, with the Herald in pocket, they can easily use that if they want to secure potentially that mid lane tier 1.
A little bit of lane mix-up here as Betty going towards the mid lane, trying to get some damage there. But all lanes pushing, at least for now, in the top and the mid for AL. Trying to actually get this outer tower. Looks like it's going to be easily secured. And Xiaohao taking the reset with the Rift Herald Eye. Look at where they're going to utilize that, either mid or bot.
Yeah, and I'm still, you know, I talked a little bit about it before, but I didn't get a ton of time. The thing with the Hull Breaker, I've seen Hull Breaker into the likes of, I guess, great. He just can't kill the cannons, right? The extra resistances makes it very hard to deal with you. But the problem with it here is that what Hull Breaker does is when you're alone, right, it gives you extra resistances. And it also gives the cannon minion extra resistances. ZDZ does a lot of 2 damage, so it's just not a factor. Oh, looks like they're finding a play.
That's a little rough, Yuyanja. He got out with the blast code. Whew. That is a little too close for comfort. Leyan actually looking to get some damage, but misses it onto Xiaohao. Xiaohao again just showing his face onto the map. Just seems like he is everywhere. There's multiples of him.
Yeah, he's constantly fishing for these pick opportunities. The one downside of this situation is that he has the Rift Herald in pocket. Honestly, it's one of the worst things on Lee Sin when you want to ward hop and you have the Rift Herald. So you force to use a control ward, or if you don't have one available, you're unable to use it. You see Forge looking for Strive.
Oh, the combo again. Strive actually stepping forward, putting a little bit of damage back onto Forge, as Strive again revisiting that point a little bit more as iBoy and Betty go at it in the mid lane. Strive still needs to be a pretty big force to be reckoned with for RA if they want to be successful. And we talked a lot about the mid jungle duo for them and how that needs to come alive. It's been non-existent this game. It's definitely shown where that difference making is.
Yeah, and oh, engage coming in.
God, they just don't stop fighting. They a little bit overzealous there, but it's actually Cube on the side who's completely caught out. The positioning just not there. Riptail charge in the mid lane, not going to get the tower there just yet, but they will stick around to make sure they do. An excited Betty goes forward, gets prisoned up. It is AL who will make their way out of the RA side of the map, at least for once, and leave RA to their graces.
Yeah, and I love the call, right? Mid tier 1, so impactful to take that down. They get the tier 2 as well. And the critical thing is, you know, they are the ones pulling the trigger. I was saying about how with the Ryze, you can use the Realm Warp to sort of move to your team to assist them to make sure you have the numbers advantage. By AL forcing that, by bringing Forge in on the TP, having ZDZ come down, they don't give an opportunity for RA to split them up. They take the 2 towers, they pick off Cube, and they're able to deliver pretty quickly. And it's just one of those situations where this is the power of the Camille. Just, you know, you land the hook shot, and then with the ult, it's so easy just to chase up on the Graves. And there's very little you can do in the situation when you split from your team. There's no way to outplay that. There's no way to get out of that. You just caught.
Yeah, just trying to get to the mid lane fast enough, but was not able to. That still means that RA looking for their first kill in the game. At some point, it'll come across, but AL definitely don't want that to happen.
maybe.
At this point, AL are trying to force it not to happen. We'll see them come down towards this bot side of the map. Cube realizes he's in danger, will retreat, and makes it out just in time.
Yeah, and this is good play coming out from the side of AL. You know, we sometimes criticize the fact that they overgroup, right? Even when they have split pushing elements. Now, it is around the Orianna rather than the Camille, but the fact that they're leaning down, providing cover for Forge, allows Forge to pick up the tower, the Knights and minions, and they're not really losing out on the other side of the map either. So AL doing a good job of just pushing this lead ahead. Now, it is 40 seconds until that dragon. You can already see on the bot side of the map, there's a few wards placed down. Obviously, that's one of the advantages of leaning towards the bot side. But I want to see AL coming off the reset, getting control of the area, because they really want to be securing this next dragon. They don't want to give RA the possibility of Dragon Soul.
See Leyan playing pretty aggressive towards this topside jungle. They got to be careful not to get surrounded, though. Anyone's Legend come back onto the map from their resets. But you see they are taking the time to get priority in mid lane, set up for that dragon take. Should be their first dragon of the game, and something that RA probably willing to give up at this point.
Yeah, I saw one on the way ping from RA on the Baron, and I was just like, that is ambitious. But I think it was just Ianja placing down some warding, making sure it's covered. You know that AL are going towards the bot side of the map, so you have that opportunity to get a bit of vision in that area before they start setting up for it. But at the end of the day, no real contest going to come over for this, because he's not in a position to contest. It's only the first strike to AL, and I'm just looking at the scoreboard. This 6-0 Lee Sin is so scary right now.
It is. I will say it is scary. But another thing going for RA is, you know, Zeri thrives in the late game. That's where she really shines.
Yeah.
You have decent scaling across the board and strong pieces on their own. So yes, the gold lead is there for anyone's Legend, but as we get further in the game, that gold lead means less and less as long as it stays the same. And RA can find team fights with their decision making.
I just think, you know, my concern is the tools AL have, right? We think about how a late game team fight's going to play out. It's shorter range carries for RA, right? And also in terms of damage, Cube has gone for the Hullbreaker. Strive has gone the tank Ryze build with Fimbulwinter. They're not exactly doing like one-shot potential damage, so you're very reliant on the Zeri. And when I look at the side of anyone's Legend, you have the Camille ult and the Nautilus ult. And honestly, even the Lee Sin ultimate, right, is point and click. Obviously, you have to get into melee range, but if any of those connect with iBoy, he's probably just dead. And as a result, it's like, you're really going to need an insane performance from iBoy and from all of RA to find sort of comfort in these team fights with this much of a deficit. I'm not saying it's impossible. There's definitely potential, but it's going to take some good play from them. Potentially even splitting up the fight might be something that works well, right? Obviously, iBoy can get around a lot easier when he's only facing a couple of opponents, because when there's 5, I think they're just going to beeline straight for him.
Yeah. And this is where our attention turns to anyone's Legend, who with this lead, right, should be able to push this advantage to their extent. They have the Lee Sin with the 6 kills, right? That is a go ticket to make things happen on the Rift that you want to happen. ZDZ, meanwhile, getting engaged on, but that leaves the mid open. Xiaohao was faking out with the flash, a little bit wonky there, but still chasing away as they are going into this 5v5 fight. And there's a big shockwave that the flank of ZDZ. Yep, there's no chance. The health bars just don't work when there's a gold difference like this. Cube dies, iBoy is left, he's trying to get away. Chocho gets a re-engage there. iBoy is gonna get flushed on, no way! Benny is a Chad, he gets the kill, and AL run away with everything. RA still not finding a single kill.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a domination. They don't even need the Camille ultimate or the Nautilus ultimate onto iBoy. They're just so far ahead, they throw their wallets at them and they end up winning. Now, this is a bit of a precarious situation, right? TP comes through from Forge, we still full HP. Betty is going to be able to life steal up a bit, and this is a fast Baron. Honestly, I think, do we see RA contest this? Leyan's heading over. We have double TP available for solo laners.
Oh, there's no way.
But I think he's just going to be gone.
Yeah, there's no way. Easy does it. AL pick up the Baron.
And we get the replay. So this is very hard forced by AL. And it looks a little bit scrappy at first, but the Lee Sin gets a huge Gorn Drinker, so tanky. And then we see the continuation of the fight, and they're just charging forwards. And once they get that one kill, you have Jinx reset. Cube is doomed because of the Hextech ultimatum. And then we have this situation with Betty flashing in to kill the Zeri here and still able to get out again. It's just AL. They know they can just go forwards, and they have the tools to do so. They have the Nautilus, they have the Camille, they have the Lee Sin. They can just charge.
Yep, they're hitting 3 item spikes now too as well, and the gold lead just keeps getting larger and larger, and the gap getting wider and wider here. And at this point, RA just begging to get 1 kill on the board before the game ends here, but they still do have something going for them in those scaling aspects we were talking about, but it's looking a lot more dim. And AL, I feel like, have found the ticket to win, right? They know that they can press up. It's been the confidence since like 7 minutes in the game, just radiating out of this team. And it's sure to be a continuation of that here as they charge into the enemy jungle. Oh, I might have lost oxygen. So we see anyone's legend continuing to push down this bottom lane. QiuQiu tower goes down. Chocho goes in. The shockwave on top of it. You don't need much of a wombo combo when you got gold like that. Betty's still untouched, and he's excited today. It's another attack of the 50-foot Betty. CDZ going forward. Hextech ultimatum onto the back line of RA, and that's it. There's another team fight win from anyone's legend. They're trolling in the base right now. They just gotta wait to take down the turrets, to take down the nexus of Rare Adam. And at this point, Rare Adam aren't even gonna get a kill.
It doesn't look like it at this point, really. They are struggling to find anything. AL able to charge forward, and you see ZDZ with the outplay tool onto the Zeri. No fun allowed. Trapped in the ultimatum.
They want to get a kill. They do. Leyan wants to go in. The Nexus. Oh, it's not enough. RA don't find a single kill in the first game of the night, and anyone's legend are looking on fire.
That is a rough one, but honestly, credit to anyone's legend. There's been so many pivotal plays. Xiaohao was a monster on this Lee Sin, constantly where he needed to be in the map, constantly making things happen before we saw this Ryze come online and able to roam. And then on top of that, we had QiuQiu in the bot lane, despite the pressure that this Zeri Leona had, able to find these beautiful windows to punish, to find ways back in. And then Betty had Jinx. And that's enough, right? If AL goes in the later stages with a gold lead, with Betty on Jinx, I feel like that's their best odds to come out with a win, and they did that in spades in this one.
It was just a rinse and repeat of the final 2 games that we saw on Friday from them, right? They got the comp that they wanted. Chocho was on one with the engages. Betty untouched in the background. Again, it's just deja vu. And that's where, you know, this one hurts for Rare Adam because they had so many promising early tries, at least. The top lane gank that didn't go right, the bot lane gank that didn't go right, and it's just so close that you can almost taste it, but then it falls so far away from you.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the big thing for me was there was a lot of mistakes coming out from Rare Adam, but also, you know, I feel like going in the later stages with their composition, as much as Zeri is a really powerful tool, I love the draft from anyone's legend. You have 2 champions that just completely counter her. Like, that's the thing with Zeri, is she kind of thrives on the fact that she's very mobile. If your team is skill shot based, it's extremely hard to deal with her, but you just pick these point and click abilities, right? And don't give her a chance to outplay. The whole composition from Rare Adam was very short ranged. And when you have that against a Jinx, it's so hard to find an advantage. And it kind of just means you either win early or this.
I love it. 25 minutes and 53 seconds. 16-0. This might be the first ever game I've casted that one side did not get a kill, and that's impressive for anyone's legend to have been able to do that, right? We set out at the beginning of the day the main spotlights for both these teams, right? We were putting a spotlight on Xiaohao. How does that early aggression look on him, and can he succeed with it? Because we've seen when it doesn't work out for him. And how does Betty play these? What does the draft look like for him? Does he get Jinx? Well, the check marks were there for anyone's legend in this first game.
Yep, and the thing is, I feel like maybe you look at the situation and we go, right, well, we got the Zeri, they got the Jinx. Maybe you ban one of them, you still go blue side, you pick the other. I think that's the problem, is that I think both Zeri and Jinx are really good carry champions for Betty. So I think if he gets either, you're probably happy. So I feel like banning one or even, picking one doesn't necessarily answer the problem. It's kind of like you have to ban one, pick one, or some other solution. But either way, I think Betty is really showing how much he can do when he's given resources and the right champions. He's just, this series and last, really having dominating performances.
We'll see if they can keep that streak going or if Rare Adam have a response of their own. We're sending it off to a little break, but we'll be right back with some more League of Legends